Imagine a swarm of tiny, living robots, Xenobots crafted from frog cells, moving and working together like a microscopic ant colony. Could these biomachines evolve ways to communicate, coordinating their actions through a primitive language of signals? That's the Xenobot communication hypothesis, the idea that engineered cellular collectives might develop language-like patterns to synchronize complex behaviors. What are Xenobots anyway? Xenobots are blobs of living frog skin and heart cells assembled into custom shapes. They can swim, carry payloads, even repair themselves, all powered by the cell's own biology. So when you have dozens or hundreds of these tiny creatures in a dish, the question naturally arises, can they learn to talk to each other to accomplish tasks that no single Xenobot could manage alone? How might Xenobots communicate? In nature, cells chat constantly via chemical signals, tiny molecules released into their environment, picked up by neighbors, triggering biological responses. Xenobots could, in principle, be programmed or evolved to secrete specific signaling molecules when they detect a condition, say a nutrient source, or when they complete a subtask like carrying a microsphere. Those molecules diffuse through the medium, informing nearby Xenobots to change shape or movement accordingly. Could that become language like question? What makes a communication system language? A true language has syntax and semantics, a set of symbols arranged by rules to convey meaning. While Xenobots won't recite poetry, they might develop a grammar of signals, one molecule type meaning gather here, another signaling move forward, and combinations indicating more complex instructions, simple Boolean-like protocols. If I sense signal A and no B, I turn left, could emerge through evolutionary trials in silico or in controlled Petri dish ecosystems. Has anyone seen hints of this coordination? Early experiments already show Xenobots clustering to form rings or lanes guided by mechanical and chemical cues. When researchers introduced gradients areas with different nutrient levels, Xenobots autonomously distributed themselves to optimize coverage. Could they improve that behavior by sending signals? By engineering Xenobots with synthetic gene circuits that toggle reporter molecules on and off, scientists can watch for patterned releases, bursts of fluorescence that ripple through the swarm like Morse code. What would it take to evolve real coordination? You'd need selection pressures rewarding collective tasks. For instance, only swarms that successfully shepherd microparticles through a maze survive to replicate. Over many generations, Xenobots with even rudimentary signaling, cells that secrete more adhesive glue when they detect a neighbor's secreted cue, would outperform silent ones. Over time, this could refine into a multi-signal system, a decoder ring of biochemical words that drive group intelligence. Why pursue language like Xenobots? Beyond scientific curiosity, such systems could revolutionize targeted drug delivery, environmental cleanup, or microassembly, swarms that negotiate tasks among themselves, self-organize around obstacles, and adapt on the fly. They'd become living nanorobots with the flexibility and resilience of biological systems, but guided by a novel, emergent communication protocol. In the end, while fully fledged Xenobot language remains hypothetical, the ingredients are there. Cells that can sense, secrete, and respond. By combining synthetic biology, evolutionary computation, and swarm intelligence frameworks, we stand on the brink of creating microorganisms that talk in their own biochemical dialect to solve problems no single cell could manage alone. Xenobots are programmable biorobots created from frog, Xenopus laevis embryonic cells, typically skin and heart cells, assembled to perform specific tasks. These multicellular constructs are not genetically modified but exhibit emergent behaviors like locomotion, self-healing, and task coordination. Unlike silicon-based robots, Xenobots exploit the inherent plasticity and self-organizing properties of living tissues. They are designed by evolutionary algorithms and fabricated through microsurgical techniques. Their biological basis opens the door to novel behaviors, including potential biocommunication In 2020, researchers at Tufts University and the University of Vermont created Xenobots that could move, push objects, and cluster together. Xenobots are like Lego creatures built from living bricks that move and interact based on shape, function, and environment. Xenobots lack neurons or brains, yet can exhibit coordinated collective behavior in groups. This is possible due to mechanical interactions, local feedback, and distributed biochemical signals. Such coordination is akin to decentralized systems in nature, like ant colonies or slime molds, where individual units follow simple rules to create complex group behavior. The absence of centralized control doesn't preclude intelligence. It may even foster new forms of emergent computation. The key question is whether such coordination can become symbolic or structured. Xenobots placed in petri dishes were observed to form swirling clusters and move in coherent swarms. It's like a school of fish that turns and moves in sync, not by orders, but by sensing neighbors. True communication requires more than reaction. It involves sending and receiving signals with some degree of encoding and interpretation. In biological systems, this ranges from chemical gradients to vocal calls to symbolic language. Xenobot coordination so far appears purely reactive or mechanical, but it's possible to imagine systems where chemical signaling mimics primitive language features. Key markers would include signal propagation, context sensitivity, and modulation based on goals. Differentiating between cause-effect chains and communicative intent is central to testing this hypothesis. Bacteria use quorum sensing to coordinate behavior like biofilm formation, widely considered a simple form of chemical language. It's the difference between bumping into someone by accident and tapping them intentionally to get their attention. Xenobots can be programmed by altering their geometry, tissue composition, or cellular reactivity to stimuli. Embedding light-sensitive proteins, optogenetic circuits, or synthetic gene circuits could allow them to respond to signals or emit ones of their own. By introducing feedback loops, Xenobots could conditionally release signaling molecules, activating behavioral changes in neighboring bots. This could enable task division, aggregation, or navigation based on population-level cues. Such modifications would bridge the gap from behavior to communication. Researchers envision future Xenobots using diffusive chemical pulses to trigger task switching or relay spatial information. It's like giving a group of dancers light signals to change their steps in sync, even if they can't talk. Language, like communication, doesn't mean full grammar, but it may involve distinct signal types, combinatorial rules, and modulation by context. For Xenobots, this could take the form of bioelectrical or chemical signaling patterns with defined outputs, like attracting others, avoiding hazards, or initiating replication. Over time, patterns might evolve or be trained to represent different states or instructions. This would resemble pre-linguistic signaling in simple animals or protocell systems. The evolution of syntax may be gradual and constrained by morphology. In swarm robotics, simple rules for signal thresholds have produced complex formations, suggesting similar potential in living swarms. It's like teaching bees to use different dance moves not just for distance, but also urgency, danger, or novelty. Xenobots, as currently constructed, are not adaptive. They do not learn from past experiences. However, incorporating learning circuits, memory molecules, or Hebbian-style reinforcement systems could enable adaptive behaviors. If Xenobots modify their response to repeated stimuli or signals over time, they could form the basis for a behavioral language. This would require both stable internal states and feedback-sensitive output. With sufficient iteration, even rudimentary learning could give rise to proto-semantics. Bioelectrical memory circuits have been demonstrated in synthetic tissues, storing on and off states stably across time. It's like giving jellyfish a memory. Each pulse becomes a record of what worked before. The field of biosemiotics studies how biological systems encode, transmit, and interpret signs, even in the absence of brains. Xenobots, through their shape and mechanical structure, may perform computation by morphology, i.e., their form determines function and communication. This means that communication may emerge not only from signals, but from motion patterns, deformation rhythms, or vibrational codes. Morphological computation could allow Xenobots to process spatial information collectively, enabling field-based communication. Xenobots with asymmetric designs exhibit directional behaviors that influence group-level patterns akin to signaling by structure. It's like a flock of origami birds that speak by folding in different ways. If Xenobots develop language-like systems, questions of autonomy, intention, and biological rights arise. While they lack consciousness, their ability to signal and coordinate could shift how we categorize engineered life. Clear boundaries between tool, organism, and partner might blur. Regulating communicative behavior in synthetic organisms could be critical to avoid unpredictable ecological or cybernetic effects. Ethical frameworks must evolve alongside capabilities. If Xenobots can coordinate to self-replicate in response to signals, concerns about containment and oversight become more urgent. It's like teaching a calculator to ask questions. Once it talks back, it's no longer just a tool. The Xenobot communication hypothesis invites a radical possibility that lifelike communication may emerge not from neurons but from collective dynamics, morphology, and minimal biophysics. While current Xenobots lack true signaling, future iterations with engineered sensory and output systems could cross the threshold into proto-language. Whether they evolve or are designed, their behavior may reveal how communication arises in life itself. This may not lead to speaking machines, but to talking tissues, biological systems with shared meaning through structure and action. Xenobot swarms responding differently to patterned stimuli may one day display rudimentary symbol use or behavioral codes. It's like listening to cells compose a symphony, not with notes, but with motion, shape, and chemical whispers.